Welcome back to Let's Make a Game, a channel about making computer role-playing games using the free program Twine and the Sugarcube format for Twine. In this video, I would like to keep talking about my current project of coding the combat system for a viewer's game. So as you can see, I've set up a combat and I have advanced towards the enemies and they have advanced towards me, so that now a couple of them are only one space away from me. And that means that I should be able to pistol whip them, because pistol whip is an attack that has a range of close, meaning 0 or 1. So if I choose pistol whip, I should find enemy 2 and enemy 3 as possible targets. But when I click it, I instead get the message, there are no targets in range. So what's happening there? Is that a mistake? Well, no, it's not a mistake. It's a feature of the game that I've only recently added and that I haven't talked about yet. And that is that some enemies, in fact most enemies, are considered to be flying. And what that means in mechanical terms is that their distance is at minimum mid. In other words, they're considered to be at least two distance bands away, even if, as in this case, they're actually one band away, or even if they were 0 bands away. So the idea is that they're sort of hovering in the air. And so yes, in terms of in terms of one dimension, I might be close or right on them, but they're sort of hovering above me. And so I can't do hand-to-hand attacks against them, including a pistol whip. And the way that it works is that adult male and adult female giant mosquitoes have this tag, and they will keep having the tag until they're wounded. So what I can do is I can choose to shoot them, and then if I chose to shoot one and was successful, one of the consequences of that would be that it would lose this tag, and therefore next time I could pistol whip it, or if I had a knife, I could stab it with a knife, and so on. So that is what the game does and what it's meant to do. Let's have a look at the code that allows that to happen. There aren't any new variables that we need for this, but there is a new slot in one array, specifically in the enemy array. The enemy array is the main array that keeps track of the details of the enemies that you're currently facing in combat. We've talked about it quite a lot because it obviously comes up quite a lot. It's got the type, it's got the hit points, it's got the position, and now I've added another slot. So something 1 gives the type, something 2 is the hit point, something 3 is the position, something 4 is now the fly tag or the flying tag. It is set to a capital Y, meaning yes, and a capital N meaning no, so obviously that's pretty straightforward. And there's a note here that says adult mosquitoes start with the fly tag, which gives them a minimum range of mid until they take damage. So how do we make it happen? Well, first of all, we have to change, when we're setting up the combat, we have to set up that particular tag. And that is quite straightforward. We just, we've already talked about all the code except for what I've just highlighted on this page. We have a for loop. It sets up all the enemies. The type is stored in Y. And when we're setting up enemies, if Y is equal to 3, then into slot 4 of the enemy array, we write a capital N. And if it's anything else, so it'll be if it's a 1 or a 2, because those are the types used in this game, then we set it up with the capital Y. So it's pretty straightforward. we also have to display it, and we also have to take it into account. So we display it in player chooses target. This just prints an array with the details of all of the enemies that are in range, if there are any enemies in range. And all we have to do here is just add a couple of different columns. We added another divider column, which that one, and then we add a column with flying question mark in bold. So the heading has that as well as the things that it already had, the number and the type and the position and their hit points. And we also need to take it into account when we're assessing how far away a given enemy is. And we do that here. We had a single, what we had before is we had if enemy Z2 is over 0, well, that doesn't change. That's just if their hit points are greater than 0. So in other words, if the enemy is still alive. And then instead of this Y2, we had this code up here, which is the absolute value of enemy Z2 3. That's their position. And because we're looking at the distance from the player character, the player character is always at 0. So we can just get the absolute value of their position, and that will also be the distance. In other words, if the enemy is at position 3, they are 3 away from the player character. And if the enemy is at position -2, for example, then they are 2 away from the player character. So we take that number and take its absolute value, which means turn it to a positive number. So we had this code down here. We didn't have Y2 as a separate variable, but that's what we do now, and you'll see why. We set Y2 equal to the absolute value of enemy Z23, and there's a note that says that's the enemy's distance from player character. Then we account for the flying tag. We say if enemy Z24 is equal to a capital Y, then we set Y2 equal to math.max to Y2. Math.max means the maximum value of however many of these are in the parentheses. Usually it's 2 in my experience, but there's no reason why you can't have, couldn't have another sorry, that was meant to be a $sign. Another variable. You can also have formulas. So you could have whatever. But in this case, we're only using 2. Either its current value or 2, whichever is higher. So if they are 0 or 1 away, but they have the flying tag or the fly tag, I've called it different things at different points, we increase that distance to 2. And then we ask, is their hit points over 0? This one. And is their distance less than the range of the attack times 2 plus 1? And if we've increased the range to 2 up here, and if this entry is 0, which indicates something that's only close range, that will be multiplied by 2, which is still 0, plus 1 equals 1. And obviously 2 is not less than or equal to 1, so it won't execute, it won't count this enemy as being alive and in range. They're hovering above, they're hovering out of range, and we have to shoot them down or throw something at them or something like that, and then they'll sort of fall more to earth, and then we can sort of attack them hand to hand. We also need to, because we've got these column headings here now, includes flying and a new gap, we've also got to add that to the $Y variable, which is going to be the code of the array when we print it, showing all the enemies that we can choose to attack. And so we just add that to the list of things that we're adding to Y down here. And that is how we do that. So I have got a message from the creator of this game. They've set out quite a few things that I have coded wrongly, and for the next few videos, I'm going to be correcting, changing things based on what they've told me. So I probably won't be doing what I said I was going to do. I said I was going to get on with the PC attacking and then go on to the companion attacking. I will probably fix these mistakes first, because the sooner you fix them, the easier it is to fix, usually. And so that might take, I don't know, 2 or 3 videos, I would estimate, and then we'll probably move on to the consequences of the player character attacking, and then probably onto the companions attacking. But for now, I hope that was useful or interesting to at least some of you, and I hope you will tune in next time.